So the title of this video is Fear of Missing Out and Self-Respect. And I feel like the reason why I wanted to make this video is because I currently have a situation where I do feel like I'm missing out. And so I'm trying to balance my self-respect, if that makes any sense in a way. And so I want to talk about my past. So as a child, when I was like ages 5 to 10, I felt like I never fit in. And I was always one of those kids who didn't really have that much friends. I was easily picked on because, well, I was very different. So that made me, and I felt very scared of that, growing up because, I was picked on a lot because of being different. So throughout my middle school years and my high school years, I made so much effort to be liked. I went as far as to read multiple books, such as like Dale Carnegie's, I forgot the name of the book, but it's a really famous book on how to be more liked and how to be perceived better. But it was not only just reading books, but it was like my journaling. A lot of the entries, when I look back at it, it talks about how I can be a more interesting, how I can be seen as a cooler individual. And to an extent, I have to credit like some of my, you know, in a way success, not really success, but it opened lots of doors for me, learning how to be more likable, learning how to please others, how to fit in a way. I was able to get a lot of friends, through learning how to speak, learning how to tell people what they want to tell, what they want to hear. And yes, so in a way, it did benefit me. I'm not gonna deny that um, trying to be liked or caring about how people see you will have no benefit because, to be honest, it did. But as I grew older, I realized that I was so obsessed with being liked and being loved that I actually felt like attached to my friends and these groups, and not in a way like because I cared so much about them, but more in a way because I felt that being liked by my friends was really how I was able to like myself in a way. Like I couldn't find love through myself. So I looked for love through other people, including my friends or the people around me. And so I would put their opinions always over my own, and I'd always like in a way not really worship them, but more like look up to them because I felt like they were so much better than me. Um, and so I was afraid of how my friends would reject me. So I was always people pleasing. And because I was always people pleasing, like people were able to take advantage of me and people were able to take my presence for granted. And what I thought was the answer to me being loved actually made me feel more unloved in a way. Because then began, well, not really being treated like shit, but more like I felt like because I was so obsessed with people liking me, I didn't care to have any self-respect. I just wanted their validation, so I do anything for their validation. If they didn't like me, then I felt like I needed to prove them that I am likable and that um, they can see the good in me. But what I realized as I grow older is not everyone's gonna vibe with you. Not everyone is gonna fuck with you. And that's okay. And obviously, I grew older, so I'm a lot more mature. And, ever since this journey, I've actively been seeking this, um, this kind of self-respect in a way. But, you know, um, so a bit of a backstory about this video is before I made this video, I have multiple videos that I made on self-improvement, and this is in an effort for me to kind of improve my self-confidence and also improve my life in general. And I already accepted to myself that this journey would be a lonely one, and it would require me to let go of a lot of people, because in order for me to improve myself, well, that's what I would be expected to do. Let go of the people who I felt were not really bad people, but more like people who I didn't feel like gave me the environment where I needed to grow in a way. These individuals are still my brothers and I love them to death, but I accepted that I knew to improve, I needed a new environment, and that environment needed, a kind of space where I could focus on myself. So more like being alone, or yes, limiting to what extent would I put myself in these social situations. Because in order to gain my self-worth, I needed to learn how to be myself and who I really was inside and out, and also how to deal with my problems on my own. Because I realized a lot of times I would seek validation from my friends. Is this how to solve this problem? Is this how to solve that problem? Am I doing okay? Do I look all right? I feel like all these things that I try to crave from my friends, all these validations that I try to get from my friend groups, it was just bringing me down. So I knew moving forward, and if I needed to improve, I needed to kind of seek my own validation, and that required me to take a step back from all these social circles. So do I feel left out currently? In a way I do, but in a way it does bother me. But I realize that my self-improvement is so much more important than me going out there and trying to gain the validation, because currently I feel like I'm doing quite great. Sure, I needed to distance myself, and I feel like my friends can see that distance, but it's also like I'm hoping, or I believe that they understand what I'm doing is something that's required of me, because recently I have not been before I was on this journey, I was not in the same place where I was right now, which is happy. And I feel like me letting go of all these external things, such as social circles, status, the validation from others, it made me feel like a happier person. And me being on this journey also taught me a lot of uncomfortable truths about myself, because I was forced to be alone. I forced myself to be alone in many of these situations. Not really just not hang out with my friends at all, because I still hang out with them. But just me learning to be alone, me learning how to gain that self-respect, I feel like it's really good for me. And it has done wonders for me. Even though I felt very uncomfortable, I feel like this discomfort in being alone, this discomfort in trying to gain my self-respect through doing things that are more difficult, speaking up for myself more, caring less about what other people say, and prioritizing myself above everything. I feel like this discomfort is what really taught me how to respect myself, because what I realized is that we are so much more than what anyone says about us. We are so much more than our wins or our losses. It's not those external things that really make us who we are, but it's really how we see ourselves, how we respect ourselves, how much we believe in our ability to achieve our goals. I feel like that's what creates self-respect, and I believe that self-respect is what makes us worth more in a way. I feel like that's it. There's definitely a lot to uncover here about self-respect and validating of the self. And this is something that I really want to explore through future videos. Not just if I can share a message to the world, but it's more of a message to myself. I feel like I've talked a lot. Thank you for watching.